Hey folks, this is Chris with Oregon Figs. It is January 2nd, 2023. Happy New Year to everyone. So I brought a few trees down on New Year's Day down to the garden from the house. These will be going in ground. That's Col de Dama Blanca Negra. That is Tia Pena right there. You can see the grapes in the background. Iskia Black on the side and crows right here, this one. So nice trees. So I try to get them to grow out with some fairly good girth before I put them in ground. More of an upright growing position. This one here was gifted from a friend, and it had a lot of lower branches, just too low. So I took the lower branches off and turned it into a more of a single stem. But you can see that has some nice girth. Tia Pena, some really nice girth, and crows, same thing. And I've got some trees in the back, 4 trees that are in 7-gallon that are maple trees. These are flame maples. You can see there, and I basically trained it into a single whip, and that one's about, oh shoot, about 7 feet tall. So these are all going in ground. The maples, it's fine to put in ground in the fall if you get around to it. I just didn't get around to it this year, so they can go in the spring as well. The figs you don't want to put in the fall. There's no advantage to putting a fig tree in ground in Oregon in the fall. What you're doing is exposing it to potential dieback, because you need to make sure the roots aren't circling, so you maybe have a little bit of root damage when you're putting them in. And in the spring, that doesn't affect them at all. It's probably not a great idea to have root damage on a tree that's going into ground. And facing really cold temperatures, it could potentially die back to the ground. It could potentially die the whole way. So it's something not a good idea to do in Oregon. Other places it might be different. Once again, one of the things I'd like to explain and probably harp on several times this year is how location-specific figs are. So when I say it's a good idea to plant it in ground in Oregon, that may not be the case if you live in Southern California or somewhere else. But here, or really I think any place where it's really cold, not a good idea to put it in ground. Wait till the spring. So well, this is a gummy berry here that I put in this last year, and it seems to be doing well. Lots of nice little buds on it. So it'd be interesting to watch how this grows next year. All right, let's go out to the orchard. Some interesting things going on in the orchard right now. So this is Campaniere, and I promised to gift a couple cuttings to a friend. So what I'll do is I'll come out and I'll look at a cutting like this cutting, and I'll just take that off. The reason is because that's just going horizontally, right? That's increasing the footprint. This one here is doing the same thing. So let's go ahead in there and take that off. So those are the 2 cuttings that really I'll probably turn into 4 cuttings and send as a gift to a friend. Now I could go in here on this tree and I could take a lot more growth out. Something like this, you know, it's just growing horizontally and coming out at a really strange angle. That could go, and you could just open it up and take more cuttings out. So we'll see how much I get into that this year. You can also, when the trees are young like this, you can just leave the trees alone and let them grow. And yeah, you might get some crossing growth. Well, you take it out the next year. It really isn't that big a deal. So trees are looking good. Really happy with what's happened with Planera here. That was one that just didn't grow the year before, and I've got some really nice long growth from here all the way down. That's probably 24 inches or so. So we're gonna see if this gives us figs next year. I'm kind of excited about that one, but this is what I wanted to show you. We have moles here in Oregon, and they go out and they burrow and they create these little holes. More of an inconvenience than anything. I don't really think they overly affect the fig trees. If they eat a few of the roots, that doesn't really work against a fig tree all that much, because that almost like stimulates more root growth. So I don't think that's a huge problem. But it's more unsightly, and you can trip over the holes, and just kind of a pain. Try to take the mower through here, you mow mud. So I will probably have to trap for those critters here. Don't really want to do it. So this is another place where you can look at, this is Sanguine Dolce. You can look at a branch like this, low branch coming out at a weird angle. That probably needs to go. And this one here coming way out past the footprint. Those will need to be controlled, because eventually this tree, this Sanguine Dolce, would work its way over to this Desert King. And this was a great tree for me last year. Lots of figs. I have so much growth that was last year's growth. This is going to be covered with Breba this year. I'm really excited about this one. This one is on borrowed time. This is Olympian. I just have not had good luck with it. It's a tissue culture, and the figs aren't that tasty. The Breba really hasn't impressed me. So I'm going to give this one more year, and that's probably going to go out, and I probably won't replace it because it's a little bit too close to my Desert King to begin with. If I do replace it, it would probably go even, it would be a little bit closer to the road. Let's go down here and look at something that I purchased from Just Fruits and Exotics that I thought I lost last year. You can see out here, not too many of the mole holes where they're leaving their little pile of dirt. There's a couple right there, and a couple right there, but not that bad down through here. They come in little areas and they just seem to really go crazy. So this is the Proc Persimmon, and I thought I'd lost it last year and it survived, but it's kind of got puny growth, so we'll see. The first year, really, it's just about keeping them alive, and if you keep them alive, then you can make further plans on what you want to do and how to grow them. But a lot of trees the first year is just, you know, help it survive the summer and make it through the winter. Then hopefully you're going to get some good growth. Look at the molehills. That's a lot of molehills. I have to laugh about it because it's just another job that was thrust upon me. But you can see how I basically didn't do anything with the leaves. I just let the leaves fall off the figs and they stay inside this little cage that I've got, and it acts as somewhat of a mulch layer. This is Ronde de Bordeaux. It's going to be an interesting year this year. I'm excited. I've got 19 trees in ground, and I've got 15 I'm going to try to put in ground. I showed you 4 of them, nice big trees with a nice upright growth pattern, and I'm changing my spacing. I was way too close with my trees, and I'm starting to really, I'm going to increase the spacing. If I had a lot of energy, I'd go through and take some trees out to make the spacing better. We'll see. Right now, my main goal is to take the 15 that are going to go in and space those properly and figure out where I want to go from there. But if I keep something like my Campaniere, and I would say 8 to 10 feet, I've got Red Lebanese Baca Valley, and then I've got Planera. Honestly, it would be nice to really just have Planera over there and have the Red Lebanese Baca Valley out and have Campaniere over here. So the only way I could go forward and leave them close like this is keep them with a small footprint. So I'll have to prune to slow down the horizontal movement of the tree. Got to be interesting, so stay tuned. This year is going to be fun. I'm going to be putting a lot of trees in. We'll be going over the the process, and like I say, I've learned about spacing kind of as I've gone. And the newer trees that I've put in last year have much better spacing. The space between the rows has increased dramatically. You can see the space between these two rows is probably around at least 15 feet. And the space between these trees here is around 12 feet. So much better spacing as I go. I didn't know what I was doing when I started. I was taking advice from people back east where they're planting their trees, and a lot of trees are dying back. So they're creating these little bushes every year. So you can have a much closer footprint tree to tree because the trees aren't getting big. Here, the trees can get big. So now I've learned, and I'll have to adjust my spacing. What I'm doing is, if I have a tree that I take out, this is where honey plum was, and I took it out, and I decided that was really close to all the other trees, so I just took it out. And if I replace the tree, I won't plant in that same hole. I'll come back and I'll look at where this tree is, and this is by Pharaoh Zeus, and I'll come back, and instead of being at around 10 feet, I'll come back another, I don't know, 4 feet or so, and I'll have a nice spacing there. So I'm going to try to improve the spacing just by the cull process, as I call, and then by moving selectively. And you know, everything won't be perfectly spaced when it's all said and done, but I'll improve, and that's what it's all about. It's about learning how to get better. Here's, if I take this Olympian out right here, away from my Desert King, which I'm going to consider, I've got a lilac here. I'll probably move the lilac, and I'll come back this way, kind of at a stagger between the rows, and try to get at least 12 to 14 feet away from the other trees with another tree. So those are the plans. Basically, it's about kind of trying to fix a problem. So if you're planting in ground in Oregon, or any place where your trees aren't going to die back, make sure you leave enough space. Don't do what I did. You know, I've created more work for myself. But, you know, that's part of the process. There were no videos out there about how to plant trees in ground in Oregon, and I'm putting it out there. So learn from my mistakes and don't make my mistakes, and hopefully you'll have really good luck. So, hey, thank you for coming along for the ride today. Thank you for subscribing. Had a pretty good first year. I haven't met a full year yet, but it's been fun, and I think hopefully it's been informative to people, and hopefully it'll be a little bit lighter this year, a lighter tone. That's kind of one of my resolutions for the New Year's, is to make things more enjoyable and not take anything too personally, and just have fun doing it. So, hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. My hands are freezing, by the way. It's 35 out here. But you can see why we don't need to cover our trees, right? I mean, we'll get down to maybe 20 every now and then, but the trees generally don't miss a beat. Okay, hey, thanks for watching.